Oh my gosh, what are we doing? I don't know. Hey everyone, this is Travis, and I'm back to record another episode of the Wanting Parent podcast. I'm talking Survivor Season 40, and the latest episode was a 2 hour episode. Uh, pretty exciting episode. Bummed to see Jeremy head out. Uh, but on the other side of it, you know what? I like how Michelle has basically been playing because when you're at the bottom and it's kind of that underdog role and um, she I think she had a really good night. Be interested to see what the jury's opinion of Michelle is at this point. So I'm going to do a quick draft update. I'll give my top three highlights, and I will do a more lengthy prediction for next week since it's the season finale. 3 hours. Holy moly, I don't even know what to think about 3 hours of Survivor. So I think that's going to be fun. I hope we get some good television. Draft update, real quick. Uh, Megan's team, anything you can do, I can do better. She earned a point for Nick winning immunity in the first hour. I won a point for Michelle winning immunity in the second hour. Plus, I got an extra point for most confessionals. Uh, so that bumps me up to 20 points, and Megan is at 14. Um, so we'll see what happens next week. But I'm just going to go right into highlights. I My number one highlight, I think Michelle maneuvering in this 2 hour episode, um, what she was saying made sense. She tries to get Nick to see that they need Jeremy for at least the first vote in that 2 hour episode. Um, she uses the coin flip and plays it for herself. I mean, although it makes me sad that Jeremy is gone, if she played it for Jeremy, there would have been a split vote, which means the revote, she goes home. So for herself, obviously playing it for herself was the right decision for her. And after Jeremy gets sent home, she's telling Nick that there isn't a path for them now. Um, and I appreciate her approach where she's not necessarily didn't seem like she was shutting Nick down. I mean, she was obviously upset, but I think she was trying to get Nick to register the fact that, hey, you know, Tony, Sarah, Ben, at least those three are solid, and possibly Denise as the four. Where does that leave two people? If they'd gotten rid of Ben, then at least it would have been Tony, Sarah, with maybe Denise, and then you would have Jeremy, Nick, Michelle, and maybe Denise, depending on which way Denise would. So I think her logic was very sound and it made sense to me. So her kind of just trying to get in there and get people to kind of see her vantage point. I liked, and she also tried talking with Sarah, trying to point out, hey, if Tony gets to the end, who do you think's going to win? And Sarah didn't seem to be buying it, and Michelle just was straight and said, perception is everything. And if they believe he's doing it all, then why wouldn't he get the votes? Um, so I like that Michelle is doing what she can to stay in the game. Um, and my second highlight is her reaction to winning immunity, um, and just her overall basic understanding of what's happening. So she wins immunity. That whole confessional, she's like, "Nah, nah, 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 you can't get me." That was so funny. She's clearly on the outs. She's gotta take advantage of the high that she's feeling from winning immunity, knowing that she's safe, knowing she would have gone home if she lost. Um, and in true underdog fashion, she comes out with a win. So am I rooting for Michelle? Sure, yeah. I mean, she understood that keeping Jeremy was needed to try and keep the numbers even at least, to try and make it a 3-3. Which, if Ben goes home, Nick and Denise could go whichever way they wanted to. But now with Jeremy gone, it's definite that Nick and Michelle were on the outs. Um, so I just feel like this is obviously Michelle is going home if she loses. And so in the second hour, she does, you know, what she can to still keep a relationship with Nick, who he comes to her to, kind of make sure, hey, what is there something we can do to get things back on our side? And so highlight three is playing the advantage against Ben, and obviously it's a disadvantage. Um, so Ben had to stack 30% more than everyone else, and this challenge actually felt like it went pretty quickly. I don't know if that's the edit or if it just went boom, 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 and it didn't seem like there were a lot of mistakes of people having to go back and forth. I mean, Ben had a couple, but he was right there at the end. So clearly that benefited Michelle, so she could win. Um, my thing is, was it the right move for Nick to play it on Ben? I would say no. I know he said in the episode something to the fact that he was hoping to get Ben flustered or heated in a way to maybe where that would backfire against Ben's game because maybe he would blow up to a degree. Um, if he wanted to ensure he was safe, maybe playing against Michelle was the right move. It would have been an awful move. But if Michelle doesn't win, she's going home. I kind of like this other avenue I was kind of thinking about to myself earlier today. Could he have played against Sarah and Tony in the hopes that he and Michelle can at least try to flush the idol and maybe get one of them voted out? I think that would have made more sense for him because if you go after Tony or Sarah, either A, Denise might be down to make it a 3-3 vote. And if they go after Tony or Sarah, Michelle, Nick, and Denise, if Denise gets on board for that, they could help convince Ben to vote Tony or Sarah. In the craziest of scenarios, I mean, obviously this is woulda, coulda, but if the other four, besides Tony and Sarah, got together, they could have split the vote and made it a 2-2-2 with 2 votes on Tony, 2 votes on Sarah. The idol would get played for one, and then the other one would get voted out in a revote. And I really would like to know if that was even hinted at with Michelle and Nick thinking to do that. Was that an idea? Because I think that's what they should have done. Uh, it could have been talked about and they just didn't show it. So I'm not saying that they didn't talk about it or they didn't discuss it, but that's what I think Nick and Michelle should have angled toward, like focusing like maybe towards Denise. Hey, we have this idea. If the four of us come together, we can make sure one of them goes home tonight. And that splits up a pair, an obvious pair. Um, Obviously can't be foolproof, whatever. But I mean, if for Nick's point of view, if he puts it on one of them, say Ben wins immunity, and if that's the case, okay, well Michelle's going to go home if your plan doesn't work, and you'll still be there. But at least you could take a stab at getting one of them out and possibly flushing the idol. So just me, some 40-year-old, never played Survivor, couch coaching, thinking, okay, I think they should have done it this way. And I would love to know if that was a consideration. Um, you know, could they have pulled in Denise? And if you pull in Denise, would that be enough to convince Ben to flip it on Tony and Sarah? I'd love to know about that. That would be great. So if anyone's listening, if you know anything about if that was ever a discussion, please hit me up on Twitter at stlakata at STLAKATA. Whiny Parent is also on Twitter at WINEY Parent. Um, so that's highlight three. So the first two highlights, basically, kind of, I appreciate Michelle's game in this episode, her maneuvering, trying to get people to. She's doing what she can. And then number two, her reaction to winning immunity. You know, she understands what's happening. No one applauds when she wins, and she's so excited. And I like when someone's basically on the bottom and they're a likable person. I like seeing them win. That's just my thought. And number three is the advantage that was played against Ben. My thoughts are that another angle could have been taken to which would have benefited Nick. Um, Now, prediction. Okay, this obviously we're going into the finale, so we have final five. We have someone coming back from EOE, which I'm assuming is just going to be one person. So I was wondering last week, oh, could we possibly see three voted out in a 2-hour episode and have two people come back from Edge of Extinction? So it doesn't appear that two people are going to come back. So whoever comes back from EOE, I'm assuming they're going to be a challenge beast, which means they will have a solid chance at immunity. And if it's Tyson or Natalie, they've been eating peanut butter, so you know they've got some fuel in the tank. I'm guessing it's going to come down to Natalie, Tyson, and Boston Rob. But I will say, Natalie having three advantages, I think that would give her the edge to come back in. Plus, her, Tyson, Rob, all three of them have the hidden immunity idol. And if they get back, that's a massive advantage. And it means they automatically make it to the final five. And if they win immunity at final six, they have an idol that ensures them a spot in the final four. It's I'm not going to talk about whether it's fair or not that Natalie has the people that were earlier sent to Edge of Extinction get more opportunity to get back in the that's a conversation for another time. I'm just going to talk about what's happened, what Natalie has, what Tyson has, what Rob has, what everyone else has as far as getting advantage or two or three in the challenge to get back into the game. So if I had to guess, Natalie's advantages might just be that difference. The first challenge was extremely close with Tyson edging out Rob, so that's my guess. Billionaire Natalie will get back into the game, so she will be safe at the new final six. And obviously that would make Michelle, again, the target. So, I mean, I guess that means Michelle will go home first. Although, wouldn't it be great if whoever comes back wins immunity and gives their idol to Michelle? How cool would that be? Um, I mean, this could be a chance to blindside whoever they want. Now, granted, Tony has an idol, but if it's at final six, he might not want to play it just yet. If Natalie comes back, she's safe at the first vote. This is so tough because I'm guessing the jury believes that Tony is the biggest threat to win. So would that mean whoever comes back knows they need to do something to make them viable enough to win at the end? So Natalie is safe. And what if she saves Michelle? Does that mean Sarah goes home to split up her and Tony? So why don't I go? I'm just going to go all crazy with this. Natalie comes back, wins immunity. She protects Michelle. Sarah goes home at 6. Next, I'll say Ben wins immunity, and then Natalie gets sent home. And then next, I'll say Michelle wins immunity again. It puts Tony up against Ben in the fire making challenge, taking Denise to the end. And that would mean, for me, I would guess that Ben wins the fire making challenge, sending Tony home in 4th, which would leave a Michelle, Denise, and Ben in the finals. Okay, talking this out. If that's the case, so I would have to guess the winner is Michelle or Denise. And I did pick Denise as my wife and I in our draft. We could pick a backup winner for just 1 point if our second pick won. But I don't know. Sometimes is her move taking out Sandra, is that enough? For some reason, I would think, I don't know. Is Michelle's, if she can stay in, is that moxie to stay in? Would that get her enough votes? I don't know. Yeah, I'll say Michelle, the winner. And as soon as I say that, she's probably the first one voted out next, right? I mean, I'm just going off an assumption that the edge returner or returnee will want to make a splash to win over the jury. The big question is if the EOE will win the first immunity, giving them the opportunity to play their idol for someone else than themselves. So it's really tough. I don't have a lot of confidence in that breakdown of the finale. Because if Tyson comes back, if he won immunity, would he just be focused on making it to the end? Because if that's the case, he's not going to use his idol on Michelle. He's a very clever player, though. You know, I feel like he might have an understanding of what needs to be done to be deemed the winner in this season. So I don't know if just making it to the finals, if that's how he would view, hey, if I make it to the finals, I win. If that's the case, he wouldn't play anything. And Natalie, she's done that before where she protects someone. And I believe Jervis was protected by Tyson. So they've both done it. So they have the ability, I think, to foresee if there's a potential to save an ally to get further in the game, and being this close, that could be the difference. I'm expecting everything I say right now just to fall apart as soon as the episode starts next week. So those are my thoughts for this last week's episode. I think Michelle had a great 2-hour night. Bummed about Jeremy. I'm interested to see what happens with the challenge to get back in. I think it's going to be a fun finale. If it's 3 hours and they're filling in 3 hours with the show and not a reunion, that means that they have a lot of stuff to cover. So that's where I'm going to leave it. Please feel free to share your thoughts with me online. I'd like to hear it. I'm happy. If I'm wrong, I'm not going to be surprised. Okay, so that's it for me this week. Thank you, as always, for taking time to listen. If you want to keep tabs on this podcast, head over to whinyparent.com to follow our blog. You can also find us on YouTube, the Whiny Parent YouTube channel, where we are sourcing our podcast episodes at the moment. So until next week, I will be back to do the finale next week. I can't believe the season's almost over. But until then, again, thank you for listening, and I will see everyone on the flip side. Okay, everyone, take care. Bye.